I think everybody flexes something different. That's what I tell. Some people flex their family. Some people flex time freedom. I think some people flex cars. I think everyone flexes something. That's what I would say about that. Kevin, you want to add to that?
I mean, you kind of touched upon it, but it's incongruence with who they truly are. Like they're talking about this fancy lifestyle, they don't have it. They talk God, but they're ungodly. Like they preach one thing and they act another way. They're doing it for the spotlight and the show, but it's not who they truly are. And if you know them personally, it's all a lie. They're just telling you what you want to hear. And I'd rather somebody tell me the truth and it be right in your face, but authentic. So yeah, incongruence drives me crazy.
Incongruence. Okay. Janet, you want to add to it?
Yeah, I would say inauthenticity, like similar to what you were saying, Kevin. It drives me crazy because I think there's a lot of people, and I understand marketing. I'm the authentic sales coach, so of course authenticity is a big value of mine, and I understand we want to paint the picture of the result and the thing, but I have to do an awful lot of what's the word I'm trying to say? Like deprogramming my audience around what do you mean I'm not going to be a millionaire tomorrow? They said if I sign up for their thing and within 6 weeks, I'm going to be making $1 million. And it's like, I mean, maybe if this isn't your first business and you have some skill sets, absolutely, that's doable. But I think this blowing smoke, we'll call it, gets really, it's here's why, because I really, really believe in the missions that my clients have. And I see a lot of them come to me feeling really defeated. Like maybe the whole vision and everything they wanted is impossible because they weren't a millionaire in the next 48 hours. And just setting up this like false, like, oh, well, I guess I'm not good enough to do it because I didn't make it within 90 days. And I really, just some of that, I think really, really screws people out of their dreams. So I'll just leave it at that.
So, follow-up question to you. So, when you have people that come in with these unrealistic expectations from a sales standpoint, how do you let someone know the truth without like destroying their that makes sense.
Well, I tell them it's simple, but it's not easy. And something Brittany is here. She's one of my clients. She's heard me say this a million times. Like, listen, if it was that easy, we would have a massive problem on our hands because everybody would quit their job and start a business. You know what I mean? Like there would be nobody to do anything. So let's be real about this. Is it worth it? 1000%. But it's something that, all the strategies work. You can do anything you want to do so long as you're willing to put in the reps and the time to develop the skill sets to execute the thing. And so I just like to keep it real that it's not doable. If it's in you, then it's meant for you. But it's not a get rich quick thing. Like if that's your intention, you're probably not, we're not a good fit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think it's balancing like expectations, but also pumping them up. Like I firmly believe that if you have a vision, then it's yours. You just have to continue to do what needs to be done to get to the point where you're the person that achieves those results. And that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's a cumulative thing. So
Okay. Love it.
does that
Damon.
answer your question? I guess I should say.
Yeah. Damon, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, and something that I see with a lot of, well, I see with other people that they become like unreachable or unattainable, and it really kind of puts them in a category that's like if you're out wanting to become a coach or help other people, you can't put on this air that makes it where you're in a completely different category. And I see a lot of people do that, and you want to reach out or you want their help or you want something, but they almost seem unattainable. Um, I see that a lot in this industry.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. I think branding is like how do you position yourself where you're respected, but also you can empathize with someone at their level, right? So because the first question they say whenever you're speaking on stage, the first question is why should I listen to you? And can I achieve those results too? And so sometimes they don't realize that they're trying to position themselves like God's gift on earth, not realizing it's separating them more from their audience rather than connecting from. So that's definitely something big. Joel, you want to add to the conversation?
Yeah, no, those are all great answers and great perspectives. And just thinking about the industry that I'm in promotion, MMA and boxing promotions, and there is a lot of shady characters. I mean, I met Don King, Bob Arum, the best promoters in the world, and I learned what not to do. And when I decided to be a promoter, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this in the best way I can without compromising my values and my integrity. And you know what Bob Arum said to me? You will be the poorest promoter in the world. And I said, I can live with that. And I didn't take any shortcuts. What makes me angry is that all these promoters and these new promoters come in and overpromise, underdeliver. And what happens to me is that I'm honest with fighters. I said, you're only going to get paid this much. You might get knocked out and you might not, come out of this. And your opponent's tough. And they'll go to me and say, well, this promoter's promising this. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to make the UFC. And it's hard because I want to tell them without talking bad about the other promoters. I want to say, dude, you're gonna get screwed. Just stick with me. Probably, I mean, at least you know where we stand. I'm giving you the reality, like the factual facts of this game. I've been in this for 25 years. I said, and no, what they do is they end up going and they end up getting seduced, and they all come back at the end. They all come back. I mean, probably 100% of them that turned us down. But it hurts me because maybe that fight card wasn't as good because they all went and fought for XYZ and they all end up back. But you know what? If you're in it for the long game and if you stick to your integrity, your values, you like my mom says, you're not going to win at first, son, but you're going to outlast them. They're all going to be gone. And sure enough, all those promoters from 20 years ago, they're all gone. I'm the last one left. So it's either you want to be, rich quick and cut corners, you can do that if that's your mojo. But if you really love what you do and you want to stick around for a long time, you might have to do without the salsa. You might have to do without the hype. You might have to do without the BS and the over delivering and all this stuff. You might have to stick to it because in the end, people are going to realize that your brand is a good brand. It's a healthy brand, and it's something that people can put their money and trust in. That's my advice to you guys, young entrepreneurs.
Love it. Switching gears, how do you be more vulnerable and genuine and authentic through some of your shortcomings as a person and as a brand, but while still being respectable? What's that boundary? How do you make that decision within your brand when to post and not to post? Who wants to share some of their thought processes that they go through that little dilemma?
Will you ask the question again, Travis?
So what's your belief behind being vulnerable and being authentic? How do you know what to share? Because there's a lot of things that happen in your life that you don't share. How do you know what to share in association with your brand? And how do you do that without losing your audience or losing respect? Or possibly losing, I'm trying to think what the word would be. I think that's mostly what comes to my mind is how do you be vulnerable and authentic while still maintaining respect within your brand? Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, we have a very defined set of values. We call it the unicorn DNA. And basically, as long as whatever I'm sharing is in alignment with those values and, the unicorn DNA, it feels good to share. Uh, you know, a lot of us have gone through some really hard things that might come across as weakness. But if we can understand the growth from those experiences and can communicate how we became stronger because of it, it's a lot easier to share some of those things that might have been very challenging. A lot of people would think are really hard to share. But because we can recognize the gain from those experiences, at least on, my side, that's how I've been able to share some of the more challenging things that could come across as a weakness, but is framed as a strength.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, Dan. Kevin?
I mean, for me personally and my brand, vulnerability and authenticity are my superpowers. That's what connects me with my audience. I help people that are struggling, that are in the depths of hell, that don't think they can make it. When I show them that I was there, that I was vulnerable, that I was weak, but I'm strong enough to admit that and show you that, that makes me stronger than ever. That makes me not afraid to show my vulnerability because whatever you put at me, I'm ready to take that on. And being authentic and showing up broken and giving people permission to be broken and to be vulnerable and to be weak and keep going forward is really really powerful. I've never seen vulnerability or authenticity ever as a weakness, but rather a superpower for everybody. My brand specifically, but I think that's a universal thing. If you're strong enough to be vulnerable, it's not a weakness.
Okay. Joel, you want to add in?
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, for that. It is a superpower. Anytime in my practice, in my psychological practice, and my performance practice, when people ask me for advice, I sometimes disclose some self-disclosure of, maybe I've gone through that too. Not that I know everything, but I've been through it. I can feel you. I can empathize with you. And people will connect with you more with your brand if they can connect and align in a congruent way with you. In essence, emotional connection is the essence to a brand that needs, if you want to grow your brand, you have to connect emotionally. The research says it, everything says it, right? So if everybody has problems, man, and everybody's gone through hell and everybody's gone through some trials and tribulations, and I'm not shy to talk about that at the beginning because obviously, when I speak about certain things, it's like, well, I got here because, I failed 1,000 times. I got here because I've been down, I've been homeless. Those are superpowers because it shows resilience, right? I'm not afraid to show where I come from. And because at the end, I talk about where I'm at. And so, yeah, like Kevin said, it is a superpower. And I have no problem with that.
Jana?
I am loving this conversation and what you guys are sharing, Kevin and Joel. Wow. Um, it's a lot more energy to pretend to be somebody they're not than just to be who you are and just to really truly show up in that way. Now, a mentor long ago told me, share from the scar and not the wound. So I think it's really important that whatever we impart wisdom, if we're in, being letting people into the world, the story or whatever it is, that we're not still in that place of anger and resentment. And we've all had those people that like air out their dirty laundry online, and you're like, no, stop. And so I think just more of like a tactical thing for me is like if I'm still feeling like an energetic charge around something, like maybe that's not the time quite yet. But if it's something I've been through, like I'm an open book because I know the more that I can be truthful with who I am and what I've been through, I know that is the superpower that bonds us to each other, right? Like there's nothing that will connect people more than having that shared experience and not being afraid to be vulnerable and share it. But definitely, that's not permission to air out your dirty laundry, right? It's more there's a reason for it. And it's the lesson in it and the wisdom that you've gained through it. And so I think but yeah, I mean holding back from who you are, like that's exhausting. And I don't know about you guys, but being an entrepreneur is tiring enough. Like I can't imagine like trying to put up a front and like be somebody I'm not. So it's just easier to be who I am.
So here's the rules I give for clients when we're deciding this. So the first one is it even relative to my brand and to my message? That's the first rule. Is it relative? The second one, exactly what Jana was saying, am I coming from a place of being healed from this, or am I coming from a place of still open wounds? Right? The next one is, does this actually help people? Okay, does this actually help people? And do I have an insightful message that goes along with it? I think years ago I was so obsessed with sharing the raw stuff that I almost leaned so hard in sharing the bad stuff and all the bad things that I never really felt comfortable sharing my successes. It was always weird to share my successes. So I became so good at sharing what was shitty and what was bad. And what I realized through the process is I was attracting all the people that were in those phases of life. And when I was attracting in all those people in those phases of life, now I was
Oh,
never attracting the people that
thank
I
you.
actually wanted to work with. So, so I don't know if anyone else has add on to that. But I do have another question I want to throw out.
Yeah, hey Travis, I was just going to add real quick. I think in a lot of ways there's two things for me. One is kind of back to remember why you got into it in the first place. I can tell from listening to everybody, you're passionate about what you're doing. So at the end of the day, when you're passionate about what you're doing and you've chosen the right thing, it makes it a little bit easier just to be open and honest and real with people, which is helpful. The second thing in that is, you know, in my business where you know, I'm asking questions with them and expecting them to open up about themselves. It's a two-way street if I'm building a relationship. And so sometimes, to your point, I have to share things that have happened to me or around me, or just use examples or tell stories around that. Really, in a lot of cases of things that I've been involved in or things that have happened to me. Simply so, there's some relationship building there. That we're all in the same boat. You know, rain falls on the just and unjust alike, right? So, you know, sometimes we make mistakes that are self-inflicted. Sometimes we don't have any control over it, but we have to figure out how to roll with the punches and move on. So
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Switching questions. Here's a big question that I think we'll have a lot of talk. AI obviously is getting really big. It's getting crazy. How do you maintain the genuineness of your AI brand without looking fake? When do you use AI? When do you not use AI? There's all these AI bots that are literally going to copy you and do videos for you with your same voice and everything. Do you believe in those types of things? I know it's kind of a really open question, but what's your thoughts on utilizing AI and getting your brand out there? What are your rules when doing that?
I mean, I would say, like in my case, I'm using AI for some rudimentary things already in terms of helping me do some process planning, think about, you know, look at some data analysis, marketing. The big thing for me is I know I'm going to run into clients and potential clients that are getting information from AI. And so I have to be I've already started actively looking at and thinking about it because it's going to happen. I'm going to sit down with somebody, we're going to have a conversation, and they're going to say, but AI says XYZ. And so I have to be in a position to kind of know what that spectrum looks like and where they're getting information from so that I'm educated enough to be able to say, well, you know, hey, let's embrace that, or hey, let's embrace that, but here's something else to think about, or however I'm gonna encourage it or help pivot from it.
Travis can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Let's get some new hands up. I want to hear from other people besides Kevin, Dan, and Job. I appreciate your guys' insight. Who else wants to jump in on this conversation? Okay, we'll
Hey,
go to
hey, Travis.
go ahead, Will.
Hey, so yeah, for AI, so I'm in real estate, I'm in home inspections, and I use AI as a tool. Like it's not the complete part of the brand, right? But it's definitely a tool to add value to the customer. I think AI can do a lot of stuff that used to be busy work for us as entrepreneurs. They could take care of the busy work, the video editing, some of the graphics or logo generation. So for me, AI is it's just a powerful tool I add into the toolbox. But it's not the brand entirely.
Okay. Any other new hands want to talk about with AI? How do you guys feel about those new things that are coming out where it's literally recreating you as avatar? Come on, Sam. I haven't even heard from you yet, bro.
I haven't heard of that though.
You haven't heard of the videos that are literally recreating you as a video avatar?
No.
What are you talking about? Does everyone know what I'm talking about?
The Bigfoot.
The Bigfoot? Is that what
There's
it's
a
called?
gorilla. There's a talking gorilla. Seen that. Just send me the thing. I'll go make myself a video. I didn't know this thing existed.
Kevin, you were gonna say something?
Oh, I was just waiting for someone else, new hands to do, but I think it's like they said, it's a tool to use. It shouldn't be your whole brand. You shouldn't be getting ideas from AI and just throwing things up. I know people that make ebooks in 20 seconds and then they market or they sell it like that's garbage. That's just you're going to get lost in the sauce if you continue to do that. You should have your creative new ideas that come from you that are actually yours, but you just use AI to for automation, for fast things, to get things done quicker, little shortcuts as like a little assistant. But it shouldn't be the thing that's coming up with the brand and the idea and all the things, because you're just going to get lost in everybody else's message and everybody else's thing. And you're not going to be original. And that's going to be the thing that's going to be the separator soon is the people that are actually using their own brain to come up with new original ideas. And they're not just putting prompts in to AI to put out this fast paced stuff. I think it's going to be nonsense and very soon.
Sean, you have something you want to add, brother?
No, I think he's just completely correct, right? AI is just a tool and it's not your whole brand. And I actually like AI because again, what I teach, it doesn't really change that often. So when people try to fact check me, the information they get is from me. And I think being original in your niche is very key and critical. And I think what he's saying is being original is going to be the new way to get more followers because AI is going to be nobody's gonna want it's gonna be cool for marketing and stuff, but it should be like he said, an assistant, something to help you move things, automate things. But as far as your brand, it shouldn't be you, and people are gonna want to have that genuine one-on-one building with you. So I think that's gonna be a key point here.
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd second all of that. Really using it as a tool, but not, and even if it looks like you and sounds like you, not trying to pass it off like it is you, I think is important, and just kind of owning the fact that it is AI. I use it all the time because it's a very useful tool. But kind of to what Kevin was saying, that I would agree that those who are able to create the content and that do create the content in your own natural voice. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a tool that literally cranks out AI generated content like it's nobody's business. But those posts don't do as well as the ones that I personally write, and you can feel that human energy coming through the post, coming through the video, and it's just different. AI generally doesn't have as many flaws and imperfections. That is what make us perfectly unique.
Can't hear you again.
Joel, you want to add to the conversation?
You say me?
Joel
Oh,
Lopez.
Oh no, yeah, just real quick. The way I use the way I compare AI to anything is like making salsa in a blender. AI is the blender. I have all the ingredients that I'm going to put in there, and all it's going to do is mix it up for me and make it taste good. But I have all the ingredients. I get the cilantro, I get the jalapeno, the kind of jalapeno I want. So when I'm using AI to promote a fight, a particular fight or an event, I tell it what to do. It's like, okay, I want an exciting between Johnny Robe versus John Smith at a 45-pound this and that. And I tell it what to do. And I say, make it sound nice and organized. And that's it. That's all it does for me. But it's still my content and my ingredients. That makes sense.
Yeah, I took an 8 year branding process and brought it down to 8 weeks. AI cut that in half because the ability to bounce off ideas so fast. Okay, there's nothing artificial about the human intelligence. You can't. One thing that artificial intelligence will never be able to do is feel emotions the way that we do. And emotions is what makes us move. And so if you're not understanding your brand and if you're not really clear with your messages, AI is absolutely going to drown you out. And AI is going to make you look like everyone else. And we've all put something into ChatGPT and it goes clear off in this other direction, right? When you're clear about your brand, you're clear about your messages, it's like the bowling pins that go at the bowling alley. It keeps you in line, and that's what AI is meant to do. AI can do so much for you if you come to AI asking questions. And that's what leaders do. Leaders don't have all the answers. Leaders ask the best questions. And if there's one thing I've realized over the years of like coaching and mentoring people is I will never know enough to help somebody. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up. Will I ever know enough? And they get caught in the imposter syndrome. But that's really not the thing you should be thinking about. The thing is, how do I help this person help themselves? How do I ask better questions? Brand leaders ask questions. Questions open us. Your information is just more useless than ever before. Which brings me to my next point. Fuck your information. It is $20 a month. It is $20 a month. But with that being said, I think I don't think you can ignore it. And I think people that continually ignore it are going to find themselves in not a good place in business. But the people that don't understand how to utilize it with their brand, okay, that's really the key at the end of the day. Okay, switching gears here. How do you handle the haters? How do you handle the noisy family members that don't have anything positive to say? How do you deal with the noise, the ants, the automatic native talkers in the back of your head?
Fuck
Bill,
them.
Bill.
Welcome.
It's such a great question. This is a question that came up when I was probably ninth grade because I was competing on the international level in track and field at the time. And thankfully I had great coaches that they said, no matter what you do, you're always going to have haters. And instead of allowing that to like hold you down, just use it as positive fuel to prove to yourself that you know what you're doing is right. So I welcome the haters. I have my whole career and it's played really well for me. Without the haters, it's not as exciting for me, but I absolutely welcome the haters. And I know most of the time, 99.9% of the time, your haters are probably wrong anyway. So there's nothing you can do about them. So as Travis says, fuck them.
Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say fuck them. I personally like I would have said that a couple of years ago. I'd have said fuck your
Right,
haters. Now I'm in a place where I think I'm trying to have more empathy and more understanding of them. The truth of it is, the biggest problem we all have in here is we don't have enough haters. Because
right.
let's be honest, haters are the ones that make videos go viral. I know this might sound weird. I might hire those bots to comment on my pages and talk shit because I know that it's going to cause more comments. So I think I have more empathy for the haters than I have before. I have this one hater on Facebook, and I'm always, do I delete this guy or do I not? But he's like, he always gets the post going though. He always gets it. He always gets it going. So I don't delete him because he gets the conversation going. So I think we could I don't hate the haters. I feel more empathy for him. Gary Vee has a lot of good stuff to talk about this too. He really helped my main switch. I say fuck the trolls, honestly. I fuck the people that pretend like they're the friend, pretend, but they're the moles behind the things. I would say fuck them for sure. So That's how I feel. Anyone else want to add to the conversation here with the haters? Dan?
Yeah, I did say fuck the hate. I did say fuck them, but more so like in the frame of not really letting them get to you. And they're gonna hate, but they just fuel that, right? They're the ones, like you're saying, they talk the loudest, they have the most to say. Like, let them spread that. Because the other thing is, I think it's also a really good opportunity to show that you can come from a place of strength, and really like how you show up when people talk shit is a huge part of like who you are. And so yeah, so that's just kind of my take on that.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Mhm.
I'll say this. I think you should just love people. How you feel about other people is how you probably feel about yourself. So if you're struggling with how you feel about other people, you should go look in the mirror and then like get naked, start commenting all the things you like about yourself, and especially the things you initially think I don't like that, you better give that part extra love, because like what goes out comes back, unfortunately, you know. And sometimes there's like love your haters, but you don't have to go like be in front of them all the time. If you guys know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about, right? So there's a level. There's a level of that. I'm also somebody to avoid people I don't like, or I know they don't like me. I don't need to be around them, but I don't have to have a ill will or bad feelings towards them. So
Sam, that's why I hang out with you, brother. You're always trying to make me a
that's
better
what I
man.
would say. There's no room in my life for hate. So
I love it.
just love everybody.
This is a broad question. I mean, my favorite saying is branding has been branded. Everyone has a different idea about what branding means. How do you showcase your brand on social media? What's your philosophy for putting your brand out there? Joseph, you want to share?
Yeah. I try to focus on like 80% about my business and the brand that I'm building and 20% personal family stuff. What do I do when I'm resting and recharging, being a hippie throwing a tent up by a river? Travis was making fun of me earlier.
I was, but I was kind of jealous at the same time that you just to do that. I'm like bougie over here, need to stop at a hotel and all this stuff, and you're just throwing out a tent and tenting it up. I love it though.
Yeah, Colorado River was nice.
Yeah. Cool. So again, the question is, how do you showcase your brand? What's your philosophy in putting your brand out on social media? Bill?
Yeah, so I just focus on, you know, every one of my companies, we come up with a vision, value, and mission statement for what we do, and we spend a lot of time doing that. And that's to provide like, a clear message to my team on, who are we and what do we do and who do we serve and how do we do that? And so when we talk about our brand, we just put out the stuff that we actually do and can deliver at a high level and not making up, random shit about, oh, I can do this and then they can't deliver. So just being super authentic about who we are and what we can do, I think that's super important, especially like we started the conversation earlier with, what are the things that make people frustrated about, um, other people's brands and how they do stuff. And Travis, you and I have been around enough. We even know some of these people that rent the Lamborghinis and they don't actually have the money to actually own one. And at the end of the day, yeah, they're sucking up a lot of clients for who they are, what they do, but those clients eventually come to a Travis Brady or a Bill Schiffenhauer afterwards because they're like, oh man, I worked with that guy and he actually or that girl, they really didn't deliver. So I think it's just vitally important to just really put whatever your brand is and who you are, what you do, put out there exactly what you can deliver. And then if you have an opportunity, obviously you want to over deliver still.
The common conversation I have, especially with like a lot of really elite business owners and business that have been around a while, have generated a lot of seven figures, is they say, I don't want to be like that person. I don't want to put that stuff out there. And what's in more so than ever before, and I've really paid attention to this, the anti brands are in the Deadpools, those type of things that go against the grain. So I guess the topic would, what is your anti-brand thing that you do to showcase yourself? What's something that you do that's against the grain of other people on social media or in your niche that you'd like to share?
Kevin.
Kevin?
Well, one of the things I do with my brand, a lot of it revolves around addiction, and I have different perspectives on addiction. I feel that whatever saves your life and saves your family is the right path to recovery. Um, I know there's a lot of people that are super rigid that you complete abstinence or this and that, and I do think that's awesome. But however, if somebody's smoking crack and meth and all these things, and the way that I can get them to stop doing that and selling their babies clothes or toys, and they just smoke a joint or whatever at nighttime, and that's the harm reduction. Exactly. Yes, Brittany, you nailed it. I am certified and trained in every single modality when it comes to recovery and addiction, and to each your own. However, I can help support, save that soul, save that person, save that family from the travesty and the harm that that addiction is doing in that family, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to help serve that person. I'm not too rigid and like, oh, if you don't do it my way, then I can't work with you and you're broken. I don't believe that. So that's a little, I get a lot of flack for that in certain communities that they've called me a fake and this and that because I don't go by the normal way that people look at it.
Something that I've been doing every single week. Some weeks I do miss, but I call it Free Talk Friday, and I'll really just put up the phone and I'll just talk to everyone that's following me, and I'll just tell them what's going on in my life and what I'm doing, and just really make it personable. And I think that's more of just like an accountable thing to me. Sometimes obviously we do videos and branding, so you'll see a lot of the flashy stuff, I guess you should say. So for me, doing that once a week is, I guess, my way of the anti-brand of just being able to be more relatable and just letting them know that I'm a person. I think another thing that I've done and I try to do more of, just like I don't need to be dressed up. My hair could be everywhere. I know women do this a lot, no makeup on. So I think that's like a really good thing to do to show more just rawness in who you are. Switching gears, Joel, is your hand going to be up the entire time? So you have something to add to this?
Yeah, I don't even know how to lower it, but since you're
Okay.
on me right now,
That's right.
I just wanted to share, like,
Yeah.
for some people, culture is not important, but for me, it's paramount. I always brand and I always make sure that people know that I'm Native American. And if you don't know why, then I'll share that with you another day. But I always say I'm in a Native American owned company. And that itself is probably the principal factor of why I brand the way I do, because people need to know it wasn't easy and it's not easy to be me, and understanding what we've gone through as people and honoring my people is a very important factor in how I brand my company. And I still say, on our website, I am the first and only Native American fight promoter in the country, and that is my brand. you know
And just you sharing that right now, I'm like, I have a really good connection for you. So yeah. Switching gears, two more really important questions. Personal branding is very counterintuitive. People come in and build a personal brand. Even though it's a personal brand, it's not really about you. It's about really what you stand for. It's here's my vision and here's the mission that I'm on. And people follow you because they have that same vision and mission in your life. Building a personal brand also has to go along with building a culture. So what are some of your tips, secrets? What's your idea of building a culture? What does that really mean to you? Joseph?
I'll keep raising my hand if nobody else is. For me, I really drove hard with culture. Hana itself, the word in Hawaiian means work. And I only surround myself with people, performers, vendors, everybody in my network that represent that. If they're not willing to roll up their sleeves and do the hard work, if they're sitting around while everyone else is breaking their back doing something, loading in, loading out, whatever it is, they weed themselves out of my life and my company very quickly. So that just there's a whole lot more, but that's just one thing that is really, really important to me.
Love it. Thanks, Joseph. Jen.
I'll just chime in here real quick on communication. I think so much can be solved with open and honest communication, and so that's something whenever I'm hiring a new team member and reiterating with team members a lot is just, you know, I would rather hear you can't do it than say that you can and not get it done. You know what I mean? And just like helping foster that safe environment where they feel like they can be honest about what they're feeling and where they're at and not I don't want to create a culture of like yes, yes ma'am, kind of people like come to me. It's an open door policy. Let's talk about it. And that has served me very well with the people I've hired so far, if that's what you mean by culture. But just in general, that's something that I also extend to my clients as well. Let's talk about it, like whatever's going on. So many miscommunications can happen. Like reach out, ask questions, get feedback. Let's figure it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's three different cultures. You'll have a client culture, you'll have a culture with your team, and then I think every person should be building their own community or mastermind. So when I refer to culture, I'm kind of referring to those three different things. Brandon, you had something you want to add, brother?
Yeah, this is one of the first aspects where I can relate from experience with honestly leading 400 plus individuals through multiple construction projects and things like that. Culture is massive for us. People come from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, and then finding a way for everybody to come together on the same playing field. We're out there, we're sweating, people are bleeding, people get hurt. We spend more time with each other than we do with our families. We become family through this stuff. So culture is something that we focus on highly. For instance, one of our painters, a gentleman who is there on the weekend, stays late, right? Goes the extra mile. I mean, that's noticed. Unfortunately, one of his second sons committed suicide. And so when that happened, obviously paid time off, weeks this, we funded the entire burial. Everybody from our work showed up. We had over 300 people out in El Mirage. We buried him right next to his other son. And it's just moments like that throughout time that truly do bring people together. And being able to be a part of an environment that supports people out there like that is something very special. So creating that environment moving forward with future companies is something that I'm striving for.
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, so when you talk about personal brand, it's something that you've talked about in the past around the word influence, and that's what kind of sticks out to me when it comes to like how you're building your personal brand. Because with a company, you can ditch it, right? I was just showing somebody I have like 12 different pages on Facebook that I've gone through, right? And you can just on, the next day you can literally toss it all and it's a new business, right? You can create a whole new community, new company, new values, right? But your personal brand, like that's you, right? And so how I like how you present the word influence is how you make somebody feel, and I feel like that is just so key to your personal brand. And something that, like I shared earlier, now I just want to hug from Sam. Like Sam just makes you feel good, right? Sam just spreads this positive, loving, caring energy. And if you guys haven't gotten a hug from this man, just watch out. You're in for a, just a really positive, just energy from him. And that's like Sam's personal brand, right? You don't get that from Sam's company brand. And that's his influence, right? How he makes you feel, how we show up on social media is totally different from a personal brand standpoint than a company standpoint. And it's quite a bit more important, I would say. You can't really change your personal brand too much if you tarnish it. That's a lot harder to come back from.
I believe the thing I probably learned the most, or this is what comes up to me the most about building the culture, is being willing to say you're sorry when you make a mistake, and not just say you're sorry, but ask for forgiveness and make a change. So I feel like in the past I would make mistakes and I wouldn't say I'm sorry, and I feel like I hurt a culture because I wasn't willing to say I'm sorry, I messed up, here's where I was wrong, and I can do better through that. So I think the most important part is be willing to admit when you're wrong, and just understanding that as you as a leader, if you want people to follow what you lead, you have to be willing to be a better follower. So leadership isn't necessarily about being a better leader. I've come to find out that being a better leader means being a better follower, and to bring in a spiritual aspect of it. Like Jesus didn't come here to be a leader, he came to be here a follower of God, but as a result he knew that he had to lead the movement. Switching to the last question, which kind of goes in line with what we're talking about. How do you develop your brand values? Where do you get your values from? How do you decide those? Obviously, you can't have all the values. It can't be character, integrity, being on time, hardworking, right? You can't have all those be a focus. So how do you really determine what are the core values of your brand at the end of the day? Dan.
Yeah, so a few years ago, I went through this exercise with a coach, and he basically just asked me, if you're having a dinner and you're inviting a group of people to this dinner, how do you describe them? Like, who's invited to have a seat at the table? What values do they have? What standards do they have? And, then you can break those down to single words, but just as, I communicated with him all of those things, that essentially is, quite literally what created what we call the unicorn DNA and the values of the people that I want to surround myself with, as well as that our company stands for. But then there's a flip side, which is who does not have a seat at the table, right? And making sure that the standards meet those things just at all times.
Cool. Love it. Thanks, Dan. Anyone else want to share how they decide to come up with their values? And real quick, well, I'll add that at the end. Sean, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so for some of my values, we have a round table for my company, but I always say do the right thing when no one's looking. So that's very important to me is integrity and and just doing things with the right intention always. So I guess if you could, do the right thing when no one's looking, you don't have to, look over your shoulder. Um, just doing things out of the kindness of your heart and doing it with the right intention, because that's why we all got into doing this. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited to change people's lives, and I've changed thousands already, and I want to continue.
Thanks, Sean.
I'll share what I think on this. So for me, as far as the values, it's a one thing you can do is just do a values checklist and say, okay, what's really important, and then always pit each values against each other. That's one thing I've done to find out what was most important to me. Like, what are my top five? I think what is difficult in assessing values is defining what values do you want to be your values and what are your current values. And a lot of times people choose their values based off of what their aspirational values are rather than what their actual values are. So I'll share my experience. I was in Florida at a retreat coaching a group of people and with my wife, and she just had a baby a few months ago, and I'm like in work mode. And So we're writing down this list of what we value and what's life like. And as you can imagine, if you get to know me, like I'm writing down like for 20 minutes, we just wrote down all the things that bring us fulfillment or we're grateful for. And I'm just like writing lists and lists and lists. And I look over at my wife's page in 20 minutes and she has 3 things on her list. I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, sucks for her, you know. But also I recognize there that family, although like family should be one of my values, at that point in my life, making money was a higher value than family was. And a lot of people would be embarrassed by that and say, oh, I don't want to say that that's a higher value. Family should be the highest value. Well, if it's not the highest value, be honest with yourself. And then, so I would say have two value lists. One that's the truth, where you're at that you can actually commit to. This is what I'm going to stand for. And then this is what I aspire to. And as long as you're upfront with people, say, this is who I am right now, this is what I'm trying to become, then I think you can have an honest conversation with somebody. But if you're lying to other people, you're absolutely lying to yourself. Neither are good, but lying to yourself is a character issue, and lying to other people is a character issue. But if you can't be honest with yourself in the mirror, butt naked, you got no chance in business. That's my opinion. So, anyways, that's how I choose my values. Butt naked in the mirror.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people say, "Oh, we don't line up in our values," but most people really haven't sat down to really decide what their values are or aren't. I think most people will spat off their values based upon whatever a pain point is in their life at that point in time. And I just think that's not a great way to develop your values. I think going on with what Sam's saying, look at what you're already doing right now in your life and really look at what are those values. And I think if you started looking at your life, what you're doing right now, and looked at those, I think that would really help you deliver your confidence. Confidence is really super easy. I know we like to complicate confidence, but confidence is doing the shit that you tell other people to do. Doing the shit that you tell other people to do. There's confidence. Okay. Loving yourself and doing the shit you tell other people to do. And I think from that, everything can open up in your life. So, anyways, wrapping up. Thanks, guys, for the conversation. Brand X is 9 days away, and I'm just looking at all you guys on here and all the people that will be on there. Sean is a powerhouse. I'm really excited for you guys to hear what Sean has to talk about. Daniel's going to be on the panel as well. He has an event coming up in October. Okay, you guys will definitely want to be at that event. Make sure you guys are following Daniel Knight. Joel Lopez, brother, super excited to have you as well. One of the top MMA events and fighting. Oh, how do you say it? Go top MMA here in Arizona. Is that what you say?
Yeah, Arizona's #1 MMA organization.
There
Yeah.
we go. Yeah. Bill,
November 1st, guys, you're all invited to the Celebrity Theater. It's our last event of the year.
love it. Bill Schuffenhauer is going to be emceeing the event like last year. Bill has a crazy story. You guys will get to know him. Three-time Olympian on the Olympic Alumni Committee, as well as the president. Samara is just a wealth of knowledge. She's going to be on our women's panel. She is a boss babe for sure. Colin doing some really big stuff coming in from San Diego. Sam is going to be our MC for our substage. Keith is going to be creating one of the coolest stages that you guys have seen. Victor, you're going to have on the panel as well. My brother Dom is going to be rocking the stage as well through the process, talking about automation, CRM, AI. Dr. Smile, he's not on here, but I'm super excited. Am I missing anyone? I don't think I'm missing anyone, but I'm super excited. Uh, we still have tickets available. Bring your friends, bring your friends' friends. They're absolutely going to want to be there. The type of networking that's going to be happening at this event is crazy. Here's the thing that we have a tendency to do. We go to events and we only stay there for what's convenient for us. Okay, going to the next level is never convenient. It's never easy. You're always having to do things above and beyond what you're used to. Be there all day, both days. There's no way you're going to be able to network with everyone in just a few hours of being there. Okay, you do not want to miss any of the speakers there. I know all these guys personally. I've interviewed tons and tons of speakers. I also kicked out three speakers, believe it or not, because they just didn't add to the vibe. So I'm really pumped. My entire life stops to put together this event. I'm just a believer in events. I'm a believer in what it can do for you in your life. I'm a believer in getting out of the social media matrix and really diving into your dreams and your aspirations and really figuring out what's stopping you from putting your brand out in the world. My son is 5 years old, and they say when kids are younger, they're in this constant frequency of creativity. And to watch him play with his dinosaurs over there, it cracks me up. And I'm just so fascinated. How often are we in a place in our life where we allow for our frequency to line up and create stuff for us? We're stressed out, we're in and out of meetings. How often do we get in a space to actually allow for those things to be received? So I just can't say enough about this event. I'm really grateful that you're here. And I'm really passionate about what this event is going to do for you in your life. It's going to get you connected with some of the best people. My favorite compliment by far is when someone says, you know, other these networking events really drain me. Your events have been the only events I've gone to where I actually feel lifted up as I'm leaving. So thanks for bringing that great energy. I appreciate you guys for being a part of it. If you're a speaker and booth, we're going to be meeting 5 p.m. We'll be sending out lots of instructions through the process. Um, Thursday is going to be set up from 9 to 1, and then we're going to be getting there earlier in the morning to set up. So I won't bore you with all the details. If you want to stay on, if you have any specific questions, you're welcome to stay on. Thanks everyone else for jumping on. I hope you got some good nuggets from the conversation. This was just something that came up last second that I thought would be really cool. Content is king, but I feel like the conversation is really what helps us apply. We're in this world of always trying to get quick bits of information, but I'm really passionate about how important conversation is for us in our growth as a business owner and as a leader. So thanks for having the conversations with us today, guys, and I appreciate all the insight that everyone brought to the table. So have a great night. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. If you want more in branding, I put together a docu-series, findyourbrandxfactor.com. I dive deep into branding and all the different archetypes. I'll be sending out more information about that. And yeah, we'll talk soon. And if you guys have any other specific questions, you're welcome to hang out and stay on here.